Okay.
Whoa, look at this. I know.
New weight racks. Maybe new weights even. This is all the stuff coming over from the Kimball gym. Is that what's happening?
Oh.
I bet they're trying to find all the
Oh, no,
places.
so this whole group's gonna be full of stuff. They cannot take our wall.
Yeah, don't let them take our walls away. Okay. Check in with your body for a moment. Feet on the floor. Notice where your weight is between the right and left side. Notice in your ankles, do a little ankle check. How are they today? Do you have one knee that can bend farther than the other? Where is that space? And then just notice if anything is like turned on already. Like, are your quads wanting to activate when you're just standing there, or when you're just standing, those deeper layers of the 3 layers of muscles should be working, but not so much some of these outer layers. They should just be monitoring your position slightly. So check in what's going on. Do you feel like your shoulders are already working, your upper traps? And then let's go ahead and just take your right foot and put it in front of your left. I'll mirror you. And stand on a balance beam. Feel that position happen. And then find your butt muscles and squeeze and release your glutes. So I'm making an assumption that some of us have some pelvic rotation somewhere. Pretty likely. Or a hip that's elevated or something that's going on. So bringing you to the center line forces these deeper muscles to stabilize for you, relaxes some of the compensation, and then activating your glutes will help pull the femur into a better position. If your femurs are out or if your femurs are in, just activating that layer, those external rotators, to pull the leg bone in the right position with the pelvis, and then how that talks all the way up to the shoulder. So again, Pete put this in somebody's menu that was having shoulder pain when they were playing tennis. And he went after doing this to get the shoulder to change that the upper trap was overactivating. And it allowed them to raise their arm without pain. Good. Switch. And just notice, how is it about how even your pelvis is? So you can maybe see when I go into this, on one side, the side that is more rotated, it wants to still look dropped, versus the other side, my pelvis stays much more even. Now, I might have a true leg length discrepancy that's just a little bit from all the loss of cartilage and stuff in my knee. Other people may also have a little bit. Some people could have a collapsed arch on one side that would make their pelvis look out of level, or just that their femur is rotated. So just notice if you have one side that doesn't look level and the other side that does as you go into this. Squeeze your butt, release. Squeeze your butt, crack a walnut with your butt cheeks. Notice if both sides want to do that evenly, or if you have a femur that's medial toward the midline, if it turns in, then maybe it's hard even to just activate your butt muscles on that side at all. Good. First side again. Is that more level this time as you just go into it? Can you find the glutes? Keep your big toes gently pressing down into the floor. Awesome. Switch. Squeeze, release. Both glutes working. Even driving is one of those things that activates the right hip flexor a little bit by just pushing your foot down on the gas, while the left side, unless you're using that other little foot pedal that they designed for you to push on, it's usually not doing anything. And just that imbalance, if you drive a lot, could, without being reset, could change the position of your pelvis as you sit there in the car.
If this help the tilt, is when you flex your glutes, pull my hips forward.
Yeah, so if you started with an anterior pelvic tilt, just squeezing your glutes should help pull you into neutral. And if you're posterior, sometimes the glutes are like just cushions. They're not doing anything and you're relying on your abdominals or your hip flexors to hold you there. So just getting them active in any position is a good thing. Okay, back to neutral. Let's play with your feet a little bit. So do toes. Let's go ahead and lift them all up and then press them all down into the ground. Do that 10 times. Lift and press. And try not to really squinch them first, but just press them into the floor. And look at your ankles and just notice, like, do you have one side of the ankle that's more pronated or more supinated? How is the ankle lining up with the foot? Once you've done 10, now I want you to imagine this is more of an isometric. It's not actually going to move that much, but it might move a little. The arch across your toes, underneath your toes, and the end of your heel bone. I want you to imagine that they're squishing together. So you can kind of pull your toes in like you're squinching your foot, but I really want the longitudinal arch of your foot on the inside and the outside of your foot to squeeze and lift. And you may feel that all the way up the inside of your legs or the outside of your legs, but imagine you're squinching your foot, like making your foot a shoe size smaller by lifting up the arch. And then let them go back out, almost like you're pushing your mat away and then squeezing the bottom of your foot up. And just notice, what does that do to turn on different muscles around the leg? What activates? For instance, if you naturally go into a little hyperextension or hyperextension with internal rotation, then these kind of inside muscles aren't doing much. You're hanging out on the outside muscles. So if you find the bottom of your foot and turn the lower shin a little bit, does that activate all the way up that inner part of your leg? Or maybe for you, when you do it, you feel the outer hip and the glutes even. Good. Hands. Spread your fingers really wide. Make a fist. And notice how far up your body does that activate? Into the arm, into the underneath the armpit. Fists and fingers. Spread them really wide. Good. Now just pull your feet in towards each other. So separate them so they're hip bone distance apart. And then pull them in and feel the whole inside line of leg muscles turn on. And maybe that moves the femur. If you have a labral tear or something like that, the femur may not stabilize as well. You might feel that there's kind of extra movement in there. So be a little gentle with it, but hug into the midline like you're squeezing a block between your legs. Find the inside line of muscles all the way up the adductors, and then push apart. Don't let it move, but find the outside of the hip. And then hug in, squeeze, press out, and you may feel it all the way up into your SI joint a little bit. Out and in. Push and squeeze. Can you go back and forth between inner thighs and outer thighs when you do that? Do you feel them all turn on? Good. Okay, now bounce a little bit, but imagine that all of those muscles you just find, both inside and outside, are hugging in at the ankle, hugging in at the knee, hugging in at the hip. Like create a little bit of stability in the muscles there so that you're hugging to the center. Yeah, and just create that light bounce. Good. Now take your left foot forward and stand there. We're going to turn on some core muscles. Core muscles work as a brake as much as anything else. So I want you to pretend like you're going for a run, but keep your torso from going anywhere. Let the shoulders go. You can even go pretty big, but the torso stays completely stable and works as a brake. 15 more seconds. Hang in there. Let the shoulder move in the socket. Shoulder blade on your back a little bit, moving also. Faster. Core muscles firing, and switch your feet. Nice, same thing. Start going. Notice if you rotate more on one side than the other, where can you stabilize? Can you also breathe and stabilize at the same time? Can you take a full breath? Good, faster, bigger. And stop. Feet pointed straight ahead. Go ahead and grab your block. Find those inner thigh muscles with the block between your upper inner thighs. Activate your feet. Toes down on the ground. Squeeze into the block. Hold your fingers into the golfer's grip. Find the place where your hands can come to your temples. Elbows all the way together so they touch. All the way back. All the way in. All the way up. Awesome. Arm circles. Fold your fingers into your palms still, arms out to the side. Bring them up. No squeeze this time. Press your arms apart. Try to act like you're on a stretcher so that a little bit of the serratus is activated here. Circle forward. Relax your stomach. Let your spinal muscles hold you up. Arms on a stretcher, straight out from your shoulders. Take a deep breath and fill the mid and upper part of your back up with breath. Exhale completely. Squeeze your rib cage. Get narrow. Inhale. Fully expand. Exhale. Fully contract. And release. Palms up. Straight out from your shoulders. Really pull the fingers in. Stretch your arms like they're on a stretcher. Squeeze into that block. Same thing. Deep breath. Fully in. Expand. Fully out. Contract completely. 4-inch difference between inhalation and exhalation. Feel if you have one side of your lower lobes of your lungs that doesn't move as well as the other side. If your rib cage is a little bit like this because something's going on, maybe there's a little scoliosis or something's different between how the shoulder blades come into the rib attachments. See if you can change that by manipulating your breath from the inside. Squeeze. One more deep breath in. Exhale completely. and release. Take the block away, down onto your hands and knees, round and arch, cats and dogs. Set your hands in the same way you would set your feet, so that the kind of outer edge of your hand is going straight, or at least the middle finger is pointed out. And then check out your elbows. First, really work your hand muscles. So thumb and pinky finger squeezing in the arch of your hand, almost like there's a half of a ball underneath the middle part of your hand. And this arch that comes down into your wrists is really active, so that the hand is strong and it is supporting, just like the foot supports you, supporting the whole arm. Go ahead and just move around, forward and back, and feel how the arms can hold you, elbows straight. How can you hold the arm straight and then soften into it so that you're not over efforting? Forward and back, good. And then tuck one under and work the wrist. Feel the forearm open. Take a deep breath and switch. And then just sit back or sit up, whatever works for you. Interlace your fingers and do some wrist circles just with your hands interlaced. Find all the different angles in the wrist. And then we'll load it back up again. Forward and back. I said this the other day, but a chiropractor adjusted my wrist at some point, and it really cracked by taking it this way. And he said, oh, your balance is going to be way better now that moved. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. All right, hands back down, strong hands, knees back a little bit behind you. And then go ahead and go forward as far as you can into like a push-up position. Feel the muscles that are working around the hand, the forearm, and the shoulder, and then push back. You can let your elbows go out to the side. Notice if your shoulders want to dive forward, keep them lifted, but just take some weight into the arm. Feel all the muscles work up around the shoulder blade, and then press back. Load it. And back up. One more. Good, now take your elbows and put them down where your hands were. Walk them a little bit more forward. And then go all the way forward like you're going onto your belly. And then pull with your hips and come back up. You can come back as far as that shoulder will allow you to go. Good, so muscles on the side of your body right here, the serratus, they pull down, they adjust the shoulder blade, pulls the shoulder blade toward the spine as you come down, so that rotation occurs. And then as you press back, the muscles pull off your back, shoulder blade moves off your back, lets the arm rotate. If the rotator cuff is working well. Good. Down and back a few times. As always, if something doesn't feel appropriate for you, skip it and just wait for the next move. Or modify it by moving less and just exploring that motion. Awesome. Back to your hands and knees. Let's go into a upper back mobility exercise. So take your right hand, put it behind your head, bring your elbow to touch the other elbow, and then lift it all the way up, letting your spine rotate and twist open. You can even kind of squeeze your knees towards each other to get more stability at the lower part of your legs and pelvis. I'm gonna let more rotation happen through your spine. Little bit of rotation at the low back, not much. A lot of rotation in the thoracic back. Let that open. Exhale, inhale. Stay up there. Take a full breath, inhale and exhale, and see what the breath can do. Let more rotation happen. As you squeeze the air out, and you twist more. And then switch sides. Hand behind your head. Elbow to elbow. Open it up. Explore the breath. Which way allows for more rotation? Inhaling up or exhaling. Squeezing. Some people feel like they have more range of motion when there's space in the spine. Other people actually feel like a little bit of compression, especially in the morning, like you're hugging your shoulders and your hips towards each other, squeezing that little bit of fluid out of the spinal canal adds, then you get to rely on the tissues and the joints, and your rotation happens more easily. So explore how it is for you. Do you need more space or more contraction? Awesome. Cats and dogs. Round and arch your back. Let your pelvis roll over your thigh bones. And up. Hands strong still on the floor. Arms holding you stable just like your legs. Squeeze everything. And then see if you can soften a little bit. Take a bit of the effort out. And then come down onto your back. We'll go into a crocodile twist. Arms straight out on the floor, fingers spread really wide and palms down. Before you go anywhere, activate your whole arm. Forearm, elbow, behind the shoulder. See if you can check in with your elbows. Is one rotated differently than the other? And can you make the elbow, like feel where the point of the elbow is hitting? Can you at least make it even on both sides? And then right toes on top of your left. So again, that forces the body to stabilize differently. And then take it up and over. Look to your right. Keep twisting. You can play with the same thing. Find your diaphragm, use it as a breathing muscle. Do you need more space for twist, or do you need to feel like your head and feet are being smushed together to help create the rotation? Explore it for yourself. Imagine you're on a stretcher. See if that helps. Imagine you're being pushed together. See what adds more rotation for you. Untwist. Switch your feet. Check your arms. And rotate. Same thing. More space between your feet and your shoulders or your head, or squishing them together. And if you have a spot, I can feel, I have a little vulnerable spot in my back. I can feel it here. So I'm going to come out of it a little bit, readjust my shoulders, and see if I can go back into it again and change it. If there's a feeling of a little shear force, you could be irritating those tissues that could create inflammation. So back off a little bit, feel where you can come to a pain-free place, and then maybe go into a little more as the psoas lengthens, as the adductors squeeze, as you push together. Can you rotate without that one spot getting you? Come on out of it. Both feet on the floor. Gently press your feet down into the floor. We're going to do an abdominal twist. This time, bring your right hand all the way over your left. Let your obliques rotate. Hips stay stable. Full rotation. And then come out of it. Unfold yourself.
Say that again, what stays stable?
Hips. Leave your hips where they are. Let the floor just hold your hips. And then up, rotate. So torso, spine, doing that rotation. Feel both hips stay stable on the floor. And again, you may need to squeeze your abdominals a little bit here. And come on out of it. Good. First side again. Up, rotate. Down and up. And down. And then just feel body on the floor, bend your left leg, put your hands underneath the small of your back to help maintain the arch. Pull your toes back, rotate your right leg all the way out, try to touch your pinky toes to the floor, all the way in, big toe coming in. Let the full rotation there happen. Out and in 10 times. And switch. Out and in. Switch again. Second side. And then both together, separate your legs just a little bit and just see how even they are. And feel your back muscles a little bit. Can you do rotations at the leg bones without the back muscles really engaging on one side? Or if it is, at least it's even. And then bring your feet in, point your toes all the way, hug the muscles up the calves, into the hamstrings, maybe even feel your glutes. Point them as far as you go, stretch the top of your foot, find the arches. Hug those bones up into the bottom of the foot, into the ankle. Let the ankle point as far as possible and then flex. All the way point. All the way flex. Do you have one side that is different than the other? Maybe one side that doesn't feel like it can go as far. If that's true, is that the side where the joint of the knee or joint of the hip is maybe less healthy or getting healthier? Okay, shake a little bit and just feel, like I said, all of the tissues hug from the ankles into the knee, into the hips, squeezing in, creating some tension around your joints, some stability all the way up. Add your arms, same thing, a little bit of shakes, hug the muscles in, let the energy move into those joints, and then release again. Pelvic tilts, rock it backward and forward. See how your spine's doing. And then roll to your side, come up to standing. Let's move a little bit. So with this same idea of things kind of hugging in, creating stability, take a side step, have that stability there, squeeze your fists today. Stability from the arms into the shoulders, into the back, into the pelvis, and come up. And as you go down to the other side, see how the ankle can stabilize, the foot even press the big toes down and come up and over. Quads working, hips working. Maybe your body is available for a lower squat. Lengthening on that other side and up and over. If you need to support it for a little bit as you come down into that, what's your available range? With that stability, bring your feet in a little bit. Take a hip hinge over. Find your butt muscles, push your glutes through to come back to standing. Feel your glutes work. Come back again, down a little bit. Push your butt up and through. Find the glutes, hip hinge as you go over and up.
Is it like a slow release as you go down?
Yeah. Yeah, you can release it a little bit, bend your knees, and then push the hips through. Good. Yep, learn that hip hinge. Feel the hip have to rotate. Mine's clicking. Have to rotate as you go down a little bit and up. Pelvis moving over the head of the femur. Femur doing a little rotation in the socket. Some of us have deeper set hips that don't love those huge bends as much. Some of us have more narrow set hips. That means we have way bigger rotation range of motion, but not as much stability. Benefits to both. Okay, come on up. Grab your right foot. Find standing again. Tilt your pelvis backwards like you're trying to pour water out of your back. You can lean back. You can let that all open. Take this front of the hip bone and try to face it up toward the sky and let the back go down. So that's a squeeze. This is moving into hip extension. And now come back to neutral. Good. Again, backward. Can you control it? Hip extension. Find your glutes. Let them pull. They oppose the psoas. Psoas lengthening here. Back up. One more. And neutral. Switch sides. Some people, the quad and hip flexor might just be tight even just in this position. Notice that. Okay, and then try to tuck your tailbone, lift that front hip, open that side, taking it back, moving into hip extension, back to neutral. Back, find your glute, pouring water out of the back, and up, and back. And neutral. Good. Standing, pelvic tilts. See if you have a range now. Can you go both hips up, both hips forward? Feel if the glutes activate to pull that and up. Awesome.
Tell me that, what's the forward? Because it looks like it's
In-
not that, it is that.
Anterior, yep, so this
Okay.
line of my shirt, if this is my hip bones are about right there and my hip bones are here, the line of my shirt is going down that way, then I'm trying to take the line the other way, and you should feel your glutes activate to pull you there. Front of the hips open, and if you could do it even with straight legs, that would be awesome, so that the knees don't take some of that and the hips actually move into extension. Now, this is where we all have variations. Some people hang out in that all day, this posterior tilt. Some people hang out in this anterior tilt. Being able to move between them changes what the pelvic floor is doing, what the adductors are doing, what the quad is doing, and what that psoas is doing for sure. Okay, extended lateral, one leg forward, one leg back. Bend that knee deeply into a parallel. And then hand to your knee or to the floor. And then reach this arm forward. Open that space. Breathe. This back leg, that's psoas, working. Both hands to the floor. Let's take it through sun salutation, or from high to low, like in yoga. From a plank, come down to the floor, lower down. Use what we just did. Begin to do that curl. Find whatever extension is okay for your body. All the way up, lengthen through your psoas. Unless you have pinches or pain in certain segments of your back, listen to that. And then come up, bring that other leg up between your feet, turn the foot. Second side. Bend deeply into that front knee. Downward facing dog pose. Hands, outer edge of the hand facing forward or middle finger pointing toward the short edge of your mat. And then you decide knees bent today or legs straight. Palms active, just like the bottom of your feet. Squeezing in a little bit. Hug all the muscles into your arm. Squeeze everything, tricep, bicep, shoulders, traps, side muscles. And then see if you can soften, not to over effort. How do you rely on your structure? Find your breath. Do 3 breaths, squeezing your rib cage. Fully in, fully out. Fully in, fully out. One more. And then release. And come into your position for your meditation. You could do a couple neck stretches if you like. So I don't often start a meditation with a question, but I'm going to today. So feel your body on the floor. Decide if you'd like to have your eyes open or closed, your choice. And I want to begin to ask the question of archetypes. And what designs did someone else maybe have for your life? So as you go into the space where you can just notice what's arising, notice if there's habits or patterns or beliefs that arise for you around what other people, maybe your parents or siblings or even yourself, what designs did someone have for your life? Maybe because of a fear-based paradigm, or maybe just because of old patterns that they were operating with. But I want you to notice what arises in that space. And then notice if it serves you. Are there ways that you're living today that are because of how someone else wanted to design your life? So as you go into breathing and be here in the moment, notice if anything arises about that. If another thought arises that doesn't have to do with this, come back to the breath. Re-examine the question. And witness whatever comes up for you, a memory, an image, a thought. And then check in, was that a joyful aspect of your life? Is that something that you can release to be more authentic, to be more your true self? Where did that come from? A parent, a religion? Does it still serve you? And is it stored somewhere in your body? In a positive or negative way? I invite you to keep coming to this quiet space to ask some of those questions so that you can hold on to what feels authentic and true for you and release things out of your body or out of your psyche or your emotions that no longer serve your most true nature. This quiet space is where we can know those aspects of ourselves. We can become conscious of some of the programs or conditioning that are playing on us, in us. Some that we want to keep and some that we may want to release. Go ahead and open your eyes. Move around. Thank you for being here.